Hey everyone, welcome to CWA's first ever California Water Jobs and Certs virtual meetup. I'm so glad you're here. Our goal today is to help you. We're here to help you answer questions about water jobs, certifications, and training. We want to help you get into these awesome water careers. My name's Alec Mackey. I'm Director of Communications for CWA. CWA is all about supporting and empowering wastewater professionals, and we also like to have a little fun. So we're going to have some fun today. This is a relaxed chat. Get those questions into the Q&A box, and we'll get them answered. Please give a big welcome to our distinguished panel. I'm so glad they're here. This is an amazing group of water professionals. Thank you so much for being here. On my left is Janel Ancayan. She's an education coordinator from West Basin Municipal Water District. In the red shirt from Veolia over there is Michael Robinson. He's an electrical and instrumentation Tech 1 for Veolia at the Edward C. Little Water Reclamation Facility. And of course, the one, the only, the great, please welcome Professor John Kallo from LA Trade Technical College. So, John, the first question's to you. You have experience in this industry. You were an instrumentation tech. When someone asks you what it's like in the water industry, what do you tell them? And what are some of the paths you like to point out?
Well, I tell them first that it's a very exciting career to be in. Working in the water industry, you are an essential worker, providing safe, clean drinking water to our community. That's something that's very important and something that we need. And so some of these roles that you're going to be working in, depending what your job title is, you might be having to repair the infrastructure. For example, if there's an earthquake, if you have main breaks, you have to go out there and repair the piping system. If you have fires like we've recently had up and down the coast, you have to make sure these reservoirs are filled up, maintaining system pressure, get those generators rolled out to help put out these fires. So you will be working under pressure at times, and you have to know how to make quick decisions. How are you going to divert flow, open up valves? If you have a spillage at the facility, what do? What are the protocols? Also with this, when you're working, sometimes you're going to be working in teams. Other times you're going to be working individually. So it's very important that you communicate with others what you're working on and what you're doing for safety reasons. Make sure everything's good to go. If they have to disable any set points so you don't upset the treatment plant or the system, whatever it may be. So communication is also very key working out here in the field. Different types of environments you could find somebody working in. Sometimes you work in extreme heat where it gets really hot outdoors. Sometimes you're going to be working out in the rain and the cold. It could be muddy, whether you're installing electrical conduits or repairing pipes or out in construction. Sometimes you'll be working in confined spaces as well, or at high elevations and heights. You might have to go down to a confined space, and it might be 10, 20 feet down below, or climb up on top of a reservoir, 20, 30 feet high as well. There's also work to do inside. If you're in operations, there's admin work from time to time. There's also times that you're going to be working on the SCADA system, which stands for Supervisory Control Data Acquisition. And basically, in simple terms, it's monitoring the process, and it allows you to take control. It does much more than that, okay? But just for today, it gives you information of what valves are open, what's closed, are there any faults. It gives you information of what the flow is, what the temperature is, what the pH levels are, and whatnot. So these are some of the things that you'll be working on as an operator and with some of the vocational trades as well. Working for these agencies, you get a lot of training, and there's opportunities to cross-train in other departments so you can have a career path. Obviously, these are lucrative jobs, great pay, with some of these jobs paying over $100,000 per year. You get great benefits, full medical, dental, pension, retirement, vacation pay. The more years of service, the more vacation you have. And something that's also important is college tuition reimbursement. Most agencies have this, and what they want to do is to attract talent and retain that talent within their organization. So it's not uncommon where you find them. You'll get your college tuition reimbursement if you continue your education. And as far as career paths, it's not uncommon if you want to stay in just one trade, that's fine. If you're working as a technician, for example, you can become, through an entry level or Tech 1 and then move up to Tech 2, Tech 3. Every organization is slightly different what these titles are, but eventually you can become a supervisor and manager. Or I've had individuals where I've heard where they started out as a gardener, and over the span of 40 years, they were general manager of their facility. Other individuals maybe started as a painter at that agency and then transferred over to operations. And with time and education and going to school, getting their certifications, they became a supervisor as well. So there's really a lot of opportunities to grow. And these jobs are high in demand right now.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's either a drought or a flood. You never know what's coming at California, so we need these workers. Couple great points there. I'm definitely going to keep SCADA in mind for a quiz question. Okay. What does it stand for? Never get that one right. Of course, the professor got it right. But a couple key points there for the audience to remember, like career paths or career lattices, I heard it called, and just get your foot in their door. There's so many different directions because that agency is going to help you out with career training and certification. I really want to put the emphasis on safety. There's tons of training, and these are highly dangerous jobs. So is electrical power. But in our sewer industry, trenching, shoring, you don't want to go into a trench that's unsafe. So we do a ton of training. Your agency is going to train you 6 ways, all sorts of different safety training in our industry because we want everybody to come home. And under pressure, you get under pressure. It always seems to break on a Friday afternoon, but the agencies are under pressure to hire people. There's such a demand. Everybody wants to be an operator, a wastewater operator, a drinking water operator, but there's a lot more career paths, aren't there?
There are. There's customer service where you answer general questions or you handle billing for customers. You can work in human resources, and within human resources there are various divisions. Maybe one individual might specialize with retirements, other one with benefits, other ones for recruitment. You can work as a water conservation specialist to help out in the community how they can conserve water. There are certain programs that some agencies have with turf removal, helping them get drought-tolerant plants, right? Also enforcing over-consuming water where you have to send out fines. So that's another job. You can work as a public affairs specialist. People come with different backgrounds.
Communications.
Maybe they have a bachelor's degree in education, journalism, English, so their role, along many other things, is to give tours and host events, inform the public what their facilities do. You can also work in the meter shop where you test certain valves. You can become a meter reader, repairing, installing meters. You can work in the warehouse, storing all the materials and inventory that these organizations have. There's jobs for chemists, biologists, laboratory technicians where you have to take water sample and water quality. That's very important to make sure that our water gets treated up to standards through the state and through the EPA for safe, clean drinking water, obviously. You can work in construction trades such as electrical instrumentation. You can become a mechanic. You can even become a welder. There's just so many opportunities in vocations and administrative as well, not just water operators.
Yeah. Go as far as you want to go in this industry. Bring whatever skills you have.
Sure. And you can move up. A lot of agencies encourage cross-training, or they're very supportive. They have mentorship programs where, they'd ask your reviews, what are your goals? What do you want to work on the following year? And you can express interest. And a lot of them will not hold you back, and they'll give you that opportunity. And it also gives you an opportunity to see if that's something you really want to do. You can try it out for a while and, maybe come back and go, no, I think this is a better fit for me or whatnot. But definitely.
You never know unless you try. You get into wastewater, which is the best. Sorry, we're the wastewater section. It's the smell of money.
Or you get into both. If they
Or you get
have
into both, but if you don't like wastewater, man, you just go over to drinking water. And
Sure.
it's a little bit, but they might not have you. But anyway, so LA Trade Tech, there's, as I said, and the industry is under enormous pressure with the retirement wave. It's like a zombie apocalypse. You turn around and somebody else is retired again. So like you were saying, it's a golden time to get in, get promoted. You could be a supervisor and a manager on a incredibly fast path. But LA Trade Tech has such great success placing students. How does someone find their local community college and get going on this path?
So here in California, there's various ways. One of them is through CWEA, who's hosting this webinar today. You can go to www.cawaterjobs.org. And once you log into that, if you want to log in today while you're watching this webinar, it's one more time, www.cawaterjobs.org. And up on the upper right-hand corner, you should see a tab that says Community Colleges. And these are all the water programs throughout the state of California, from Northern, Central, and Southern California. It's not done in any particular order other than alphabetically. So there's not like, well, which one's the best program we're going to go to, right? But just wherever you live, there should be a community college program nearby. And that's how you can find it.
There's, Laney's really good. LA Trade Tech and Rio Hondo have
Rio Hondo,
wastewater.
San Bernardino Community College, College of the Canyons. I think there's Kumakaya College out in San Diego. Palomar has a water program as well.
Maca has an entire demonstration practice area. They've set up all the pumps and systems down there so you can actually work on them. So.
I actually, even though I graduated from LA Trade Tech with my electrical background, while I was working in the water industry, I attended Santiago Canyon Community College because I was working for Irvine Ranch, so I was living in Orange County, and that was the nearest community college where I studied water treatment and water distribution.
We're going to get to all those community colleges in this chat virtual meetup. So we'll be heading out to San Bernardino, up to Sacramento. So we'll visit a lot of these community colleges. All right, so they've gone to the Trade Tech. They've got that beautiful diploma in their hand. What do you sort of recommend as that next step once you've graduated?
Oh, yeah, well, once you graduate, I also recommend various certificates. One of the main ones is to obtain your wastewater operator certification, water treatment, and water distribution. And there's various levels depending on the size of the facility, of what they treat, how they treat it, as to what level they have to have somebody manning that system as a supervisor or a manager. So they go with, a level 1, 2, 3, and 4. The most common that everybody could get for water treatment and distribution is going to be their grade 2. If you want to do wastewater, it's a little different, right? You have to have 6 educational units, and then you have to have 1 year experience working as a wastewater operator at an agency, and they have to sign off on it, send that through the state. If you want to get your wastewater 2, you have to be working 18 months and have 9 educational units, and then you can get signed off to get your level 2. For water treatment distribution, you can just take a few courses in water treatment or water supply distribution, and you should be able to go for your grade 2 certifications. Okay, so going back to your question of, you just finished this program, you have one of these certificates that I just mentioned. What you can start doing is start applying to all the jobs out there. Sure. There's various websites that have them. One of them is governmentjobs.com. CWEA also has a job search engine where you can find entry-level positions and start applying for these. Make sure that you follow all your instructions when you apply. That's one of the ways to possibly not be a candidate for forgetting to upload a file. Make sure you check your spelling. Also, make sure you match your keywords pertaining to that position. So you can't just have one resume or one application. Whatever that job description is, if you do have that experience, you're going to have to tweak your resume, so you have those keywords so they can find it.
Customize.
Yeah, so it's going to require a
Good.
little work. The next thing, what they'll probably do is ask you to take an exam for the entry-level positions. This will generally be like a mechanical aptitude, basic arithmetic, and there might be a passage where they tell you a story and you have to remember as much information as you can, right? And if it's not for entry level, if it's a technician, read the job description and what they're looking for. And, after a while, that's typically the types of questions they're going to be asking pertaining to your field. So you're going to have to take a test and pass that. Once you pass your test, most likely you'll be called for an interview or multiple interviews. Okay, which can be nerve-wracking, and that itself, I think you guys have or will do. You can do a whole webinar, at least
Absolutely.
1 hour on
On
mastering
interviewing.
how to interview. So I'll try to be concise. You have to make sure you research the organization for entry-level positions. They're looking for people with people skills. So the types of questions you might get asked are, you see somebody stealing, you see somebody, that's being difficult to work with. How will you handle this situation? They want to see people that know how to resolve issues and how to follow protocol and chain of command. Right? It's not up to us to fix some of these issues. You report these to your supervisor. If they don't ask you any questions about their organization, at the end of the interview, when they ask you, is there anything you'd like to add? Absolutely. That is your time. That's
Don't let that question go by.
I've heard many times people say, no, I don't have any questions. That is your time to let them know anything about you, why you're a distinguished candidate. You can ask them, what do they like about working on this organization? You can ask them, I noticed on your website that you guys are currently working on this expansion plant. Is this something that I'll be working on? That way it shows them that you did a little research. If they didn't ask you, what do you know about, our organization? And if it's for more technical positions in a specific trade or some of the job descriptions that I mentioned, like finance, engineering, then typically those questions are going to be more pertaining to that area. Okay. But for everybody else that's here today, that's new, that wants to get into like an entry level position, these are typical, the types of things that you're going to come across.
That's great.
And just start applying. It's very, very difficult to get in, even though there's a big demand and they have a lot of openings. It's a numbers game. And so just be persistent, keep applying. You always can learn something from every civil service test, every exam, every interview. You write down your questions when you get home. And, if you want something you've never had, you're going to have to do something you've never done before. And, just practice in the mirror, practice in the car. Don't try to memorize what your answers are. I would encourage you, if they ask you, why are you the best candidate? From time to time, come up with various answers of why you are the best candidate. I'm the best candidate because I'm an individual that takes initiative. I have a strong work ethic. Later on, ask yourself the question the next day, why are you the best candidate? Well, I think I've distinguished myself because I have my certifications. I'm going to school. I see that this organization has this facility that they're working on, and this is something that I like to be a part of. So it just flows and it comes natural, because it can be nerve-wracking.
Yeah. I think you're right. We should do one of those webinars, pull back the curtain on these panel interviews. So 2 important points for everyone to keep in mind. Number one, these are civil service. So there are reasons this is such a long process. And a lot of agencies are working really hard to speed it up. We'll talk about that in a minute. And the second thing is customization of your answers. You're going to want to look at that job description. And man, if you are using words from that job description in the panel interview, they're going to be like, boy, this guy or gal knows the stuff. And there's great public information for people putting awesome websites together about what Basin is. What is 5 types of water? Someone in the chat asked, well, how much tuition reimbursement can I get? Man, ask the panel that. That is your time. You are interviewing that agency as well, so make use of it. So now someone who's gone through it and just gone through it. Michael, you went through trade tech, got the diploma, all these panel interviews. What was that like, and what are some lessons you want to share with others?
Like what Mr. Kallo said about getting your foot in the door. While I was going to school during my last semester, I was thankful enough that I got picked up for Los Angeles County Sanitation District for their student worker. I saw that on one of the sites we recommended to find jobs, governmentjobs.com. And finding that really helped me go through the process of knowing what it's like to work. Like you said, Alec, how are you gonna know if you're gonna enjoy wastewater when you get that smell? When you first step into that room, and you're like, oh man, it's a little musky in here.
First,
yeah, right. And so you never really know until you do it.
Sure.
And so being able to find a student internship, and thankfully programs are coming out where it's more flexible, in that, I mean, the only requirement you have to do is to be a student to go through that. And so, thankfully some are paid. I know there still might be some that are unpaid, but that really helps you, get into the world of being able to learn the terminology, like understanding what SCADA is, knowing what type of jobs they have. It's not just electricians, mechanics, or instrumentation checks, or sometimes it's both, where it's electrical and instrumentation. So it's good to be able to kind of get an internship, and that really helps you out of getting your foot in the door.
For sure. So when someone says they want to work in water, what advice do you give them about choosing a career path? Inspector, operator, instrumentation tech?
Yeah. So it there are a lot of branch offs, like you said. When you start, like you could be a gardener, and then you become the operations manager. So really just working into it. Like, I didn't know when I was at the when I was doing my internship, they had even though it was just a water plant, they had their own car mechanics. They had their own welding team. They had a painter team. And so it's like, yeah, just because you're working with wastewater, like, you can still do your trade and not have to really deal with the wastewater. You're a part of you're part of that civil works. And so, but even though if I was there was no student worker for an electrician and instrumentation, I would have done an operator, just to see what it's like, and then be able to see what those electricians and instrumentation techs are doing, and just getting in and seeing what there is, and then whatever finds your interest is really what helps.
Yeah. And you had a great experience at LA County Sanitation.
Definitely, yeah.
Really opened that. What was that like, getting that apprenticeship or internship?
They labeled it as student workers, but it was more of an internship. It mattered. It was like they gave you like 1,000 hours or a certain date.
What kind of things would you do working there?
The type of work that I was mostly like a big thing was safety. So me going to school and learning, you're building circuits on a board, like a 10 by 10 board. You can start to finish, but once you get there, it's whole different. You have your MCC, which is your motor control center. And you have a motor that's maybe a mile, 2 miles out, and being able to go start to finish of, okay, it starts here, goes over there, and to trace that and to do it safely during a timely manner, and really understand the protocols that everyone goes through. Everyone troubleshoots a different way, and be able to absorb all that information, and then that really builds yourself into what your work ethic is going to be. And that's just on the troubleshooting side, but we dealt with DO probes over there, during the preventative maintenance, what they call PMs. Mm-hmm. You go every week, you do the same thing, do your cleanings, just making sure so that you don't get that call on that Friday night where everyone's going, oh, I'm going to have a great week, and then boom, PMs, everything shuts down. Yeah.
Maintenance. Yeah, it's a team effort, and instrumentation is so critical to the operators.
Definitely,
these days.
Yeah.
If we talk about the Bay Area, they're talking about using instrumentation to control their aeration to get the right bugs at the right exact time, and then change those bugs to denitrify wastewater to protect the San Francisco Bay. So that involves tons of instrumentation and data and instrumentation techs and operators all working together. So somebody's asking the obvious question, why? Why is it so difficult? And we had this on our sheet. What are some of the timelines people might be looking at in terms of going through the civil service process?
From the time you apply, each agency is different, but from the time you apply to the actual date you get hired could take 6 months to a year. Sometimes it takes 6 months to 9 months. And there's a lot of work that goes on. You know, HR has to post the job. They have to get sufficient applicants. Then they have to schedule the test. And you know, the challenging thing is what many people struggle with is passing these exams. You know, so I recommend
the entry exams.
Yeah, for entry level, and I recommend you can go online and go to just search for mechanical aptitude tests, basic math, basic arithmetic without a calculator, reading comprehension. That's very, very common for internships and apprenticeships. Metropolitan Water District has their full-blown apprenticeship program, and these are some of the things, the categories that they cover. And the same thing, when you apply to the time you get hired, it just takes a lot of time. That's just the way it is. The wheels turn very slowly.
Yeah.
For these things. And, you know, going back to it, don't just apply to one position, apply everywhere. And some agencies, it's not uncommon that they have that same opening yearly, right? Because more people are retired. So that can be another challenging thing. Maybe you didn't pass the test this time, but you take the test, you remember what's on it, you take other tests, you have to practice on the weekends, the areas that you weren't strong on. And after a while, you start passing them. You start forgetting where you applied.
Yeah.
You might be working somewhere and you get an email or a phone
the
call.
golden ticket.
And it's like, and you're already working in the industry, and you get an email saying, you're up for an interview at another position. And I kid you not, don't be surprised you even get another email that you've been offered a position and now you're picking and choosing. Okay. But the hardest part is getting over the first things, that test. You know, I'll just say it one more time. Get your certifications, get your education, and be persistent and apply everywhere.
Patience, persistence, it pays off. And we really need to emphasize these are government jobs. These are municipal jobs. They have rules about how they need to hire to be fair, transparent, equal opportunity for everybody. So when we're talking about these panels, they actually might have the operations chief, the HR, and actually someone from another agency. And that's an independent view and voice on that agency's hiring process. That's how serious they are. So if you tell a joke, I've heard this in an interview panel, they're not going to laugh. They're going to be very stone-faced. They are laughing inside, but it's a government, it's an official process. Some even record them.
Yeah.
So the government has a record of what happened. But the panel can be intimidating, but, you know, get practice, get your answers out there. Don't be intimidated by them. Michael, did you go through a panel interview? Or?
Yeah, I did a panel interview. There was 3 people in there, 2 supervisors and the supervisor of the maintenance department. So it does get pretty intimidating sometimes because when you are talking to these people, they're just, yeah, you're right. They're just sitting there, they're looking at you, they look at you, they look down, scribble a little bit, look at you, look down, scribble a little bit. And but it is true that, you know, they have to be fair. They can't have a bias towards you, or they have to be fair for all the other candidates. So it can be pretty intimidating, but once you get a couple questions in, then you start going, yeah, this is what I know. And you just ask me a question, I'll answer it to the best of my ability, and don't lie. Never lie on your interview, because you could be a good liar, but once it gets to the point of doing a test, or, you know, that's when your true colors start to show.
Yeah, that's true. John, you were going to say?
Yeah, no, just, you know, everything he said. You know, one thing I wanted to add was, even though this webinar is, you know, geared more towards people trying to get into the industry, sometimes you're in the industry and you're interviewing. Don't take it for granted that you work with certain people and they're at the interview panel. You have to interview like if you don't know them, okay? That could cost you the interview. You know, somebody might outshine you that day from the outside. You know, you can't just be like, come on, you know me, you know what I can do. You know, you have to prepare for these interviews to the fullest and you know, take them very seriously. But definitely practicing interview is very, very important, you know.
So the second half of this industry and getting into it is certifications. It's like the currency of the water industry. We thought we would streamline, but there are more and more, including the new advanced water treatment operator certification. But Michael, why don't you go first? What was it like? What certs do you hold? Why is it important to hold them?
Yeah, so like what Mr. Kallo said about having certs is that you already have them when you're going to a job. You never want to have an excuse of, oh, I didn't get this job because I didn't have this cert. You want to be able to have your portfolio filled of whatever you got. So I have a Associate of Science and a Certificate of Completion in Electrical and Construction and Maintenance from Trade Tech. I also have a OSHA 30-hour safety card. I have the National Fire Protection Agency 2021, or also known as NFPA 70E, electrical certificate for safety, and that's an important one to have, especially if you're doing electrical work. Every workplace is going to have you. Also having a electrical training card, that's an important one to have because that one does take time. It took me about 4 months for me to get mine, and if you get a job application and they're like, oh, we need you to have this card, sometimes they'll let you come in and be like, okay, you need this certain amount of time. We'll hire you, but we need you to have this within 5 months. Or sometimes they'll be like, oh, nope, you need to have this beforehand. Oh, and you got to wait next year for something that you need to wait.
Yeah,
so
it's true.
Yeah,
that happens so much with promotions. The promotion, because it's municipal, it's open for 60 days
Yeah.
and then it closes. You can't get your cert. Yeah, keep going.
But yeah, other certificates. Some places might have to be, forklift certified. There's one I know for HAZWOPER. I know that's more for operations, but I have hazard communications. That's one I have because, at our plant, we have a lot of chemicals. You need to know what an SDS sheet is. So, but having, these certificates, even though they might seem boring, is that it does add to your knowledge and it might come into a play when you're at work because, this industry is very wide in what you can do. Mm-hmm. So whatever you've been doing before could happen now, or whatever job interview you're like, oh yeah, we need someone with hazard communications. Like, oh yeah, I got that one.
It's like Pokemon. You just got to
collect them all. Yeah.
Michael, I have a question for
Yes.
you, actually. You went to Trade Tech and now you're working in the water industry, but how did you even find out about the water industry? Because I think there are a few people from local industries across the state of California that are here on this chat right now. And you think what we're seeing is there's kind of a disconnect from people that might be interested or don't even know about the water industry and the job openings that are there. So how did you become interested?
Yeah, so my first semester at Trade Tech, we would have some speakers come in. And so, we used to have people from Budweiser, from DWP. And thankfully for me, Mr. Kallo, he was in the water industry. So being in the first semester, we always talked about it. You want to get a water job. Water jobs are great. So without that knowledge, there was no way for me, or at least that when I started, it would be like, oh yeah, this is a water job to have, And so that's how I found out about water jobs. And, I took a class, online classes, in-person classes. I'm still taking classes right now, getting my wastewater and water degree. So having those classrooms and advertising that stuff really makes a difference of being like, oh, and you can take this electrical degree and you don't just have to go do commercial or just industrial or residential. You can go work in wastewater or clean water. And so having that as an option or something that's more apparent does help. And thankfully for me, just paying attention and listening to what the teachers recommend. And that's what helped me. And that's how I found about it. And that's why, I took the classes and why I pursued it.
Yeah, I love that. And it's kind of shows the importance of communications and public information. And it's also up to the industry and the agencies to reach out to students just like you, because you could be going to school, but you don't realize the many career paths in water that are available.
There you go. So all you seasoned up there and experienced people listening, get out there, get to those high school classes, and ask your public information, your education coordinator for help, because Janel will put you to work.
I will.
Speaking somewhere. So Gerson asked how to be an instrumentation tech. So we got that answer. It is, schooling and college are great. Huge in demand. I can't emphasize how much in demand it is, but it is going to take a lot of training. I mean, this is heavy duty programming.
Yeah, going back to the instrumentation for that individual and anybody else listening, we're here today to promote water and wastewater. And if you're trying to get into water and wastewater, just know that, with electrical and all the other trades, you can work in the oil industry, right? Because we have pipes.
Don't go there.
Okay.
Come to water.
Come to water.
Point being is you can get some experience in that field, and then you can, start applying to all the other jobs, because they are looking for journeymen, as well. So people with experience as well.
That's a great one.
So you can get experience there.
John, keep going. So Shahazed, sorry about the pronunciation, is asking, what are some entry-level certs that maybe high school grads or if they have a background in construction or building trades, what certs can they get?
I would recommend, no matter what your trade is, get your D2, T2, and more importantly, your CWEA certifications.
All right, go for it.
Okay.
Go.
Doesn't matter what your background is. They have CWEA has the collection systems worker, a mechanical technologist, electrical instrumentation technologist. Same thing, grades 1, 2, 3, and 4. Grades 1 is just a high school diploma, GED, and 1 year experience. And you take these tests, and if you have it, right? If you have a D2, a T2, and your CWEA certifications pertaining to the trade that you're trying to apply to, that can get you a foot in the door for an interview.
Really
definitely.
stand out. Yeah.
So, John, can a high school student go directly to a D2 or T2, or is there steps in
I think they
college?
have to complete the high school or their GED through the Water Resource Control Board.
Some CEUs, but you can get those at, there's so many ways to slice the training. There's, if you get the full associate's degree from Trade Tech or a community college, there are certificate programs, there's Office of Water programs.
And one
Get
more
those
thing about
CEOs.
that, I just want to point out something important. I don't have the exact answer in terms of if they're a high school students to take the state certification exam, because that's through the Water Resource Control Board. That's something we can look into and find out. But what I do know is a lot of community colleges do have opportunities for high school students to take classes at a community college, and they can start in high school to take water treatment, water distribution, or wastewater classes. So by the time they graduate from high school, they're a bit closer to finishing their water program and transitioning a little easier into these positions.
Yeah, and I think there are other ways that you could go about it. I know, Alec, you were talking about the different ways you could spice up the training. And for some students, they might pursue an operator in training, right? And that could look like taking your classes, but also having an agreement with the plant that you're working at to make sure that you get the required hours. So you kept mentioning State Water Resources Control Board. So I think that is a really great resource for anyone who's interested in getting into the water industry, specifically in operations, because they'll look, if you look at their website, you'll see exactly what the education requirements are. It could just be CEUs or continuing education units, or it could be certain basic class that you need to take, or just taking that test offered by them. So I think there's a million different ways you could do it.
But nobody knows about them. So it's you and I, it's our mission to get this word out. And we need everybody's help. Please spread this word. We really do. The agencies are under enormous pressure to hire. So we need to get the word out about these great careers. Let's keep rolling here with questions. This is a great one from Jonathan Lamb. What about online classes? Does LA Trade Tech, are you still doing any online offers?
For our water program, we do have a few online classes. I actually teach one of them, which is the water math calculations, and it'll help you pass the math section when you take your state exams. That one's online. I think there are a few others on Saturdays at LA Trade Tech that are online for the water. And the rest of them that we have are going to be on campus. As far as electrical, that is in person because we have labs. So for the motor control and variable frequency drives and the PLCs, that's all in person in the lab. So those are not online, but we do have a little bit of both.
Yeah, I'll also love to do a little plug for Veolia, because they have launched their online training academy called Veolia Academy, which offers completely free training online for people in the water industry. So, Michael, do you have any experience with that, or are you currently taking training through Veolia Academy?
Yeah, so I did a couple of their classes. I'm not too sure if it's the same thing, but I know at least the one that I've used in work is the VNA University. I think it's kind of more of the private end, maybe. I don't know if that's available to the public or not, but
is.
I have done their training. They do have some stuff about some PLCs, some SCADA, a little bit of safety on there as always, some electrical courses too. So those are all great to have. You go to school, you go to school, you get your degree, and then sometimes you don't use that stuff. You need a little bit of a refresher, and so those training courses help you refresh your mind about what is acceptable, or what is the protocol, and or what are some troubleshooting actions that I can use and put them in my knowledge book.
Never stop learning in this.
Never stop learning. Yeah.
I actually had to renew contact hours for my certifications, and I haven't completed them, but I did sign up for some of the classes through Veolia.
There you go.
So it's for everyone, for people.
Absolutely. I put it in the
starting out.
chat. Go check it out. They've got career paths for water, wastewater collection systems, free training. Really important point. We're government agencies and also a lot of engineers. So we're very detailed oriented. After all these classes, you got to get the certificate, or it's sometimes called a participation certificate or a CEU, and that has got to be in a documented format. In other words, it's a piece of paper signed by a trainer. It's all digital these days, but we collect those, more Pokemon collection stuff. Like John was saying, there's CEUs required to hold the certs. There are CEUs the state is going to want to see you have applying for the certs, and all that's explained in either the State Water Board's study guide or CWA's handbook. So this is great. Let's keep rolling with questions, and then we're going to have fun. Get ready for a quiz. So get ready to put your answers in the chat, and then Janel has a great presentation from an agency perspective. But one more, I love this question. Where did it go? It's basically, why do the agencies list an entry-level job and ask for 1 year of experience? How do you do that?
That's the catch-22, and that's what the problem is. And I think they're aware of this now that so many people are retiring. The baby boomers are retiring, and there's not enough people to fill these positions. So there are certain groups of water agencies that are collaborating together to see how they can recruit the future generations. I think one of them is WIA, and they've done a great job, and they host seminars and training where people from different backgrounds come up with ideas. And I can't speak for them, but I think what they're leaning towards is seeing how developing internships, developing trainee positions is a way to go. I know it's desirable to have journeymen, and that's what you want, but you're not going to find it. I'm just going to say that, because they're retiring. And then, their existence, what they have is, this is a entry level or a trainee, but you have to have 1 to 2 years experience. So I think with time that might have to change, and that can take time with HR, right? They have to redo the job description, get it approved and whatnot. And there's probably more that goes behind the scenes of that. But I have seen slowly more agencies developing internships, trainee positions. City of Long Beach launched a trainee academy, and I think they hired about 10 students last time, not just from Trade Tech, but from various places to get a better candidate pool. So all 10 of them are working throughout the year. And then the next year, when you have 2 or 3 openings, you have a better candidate pool. And, you're not going to hire all of them, but now it gives these other 7 or 8 that 1 year experience where they can go somewhere else. Orange County Sanitation District has partnered up with us and Santiago because they couldn't find instrument and electrician technicians. So they have this 1 year internship where they cross-train individuals. Metropolitan has done this for quite a while now. They have their own apprenticeship program for electricians and mechanics. So try to find these trainee positions or entry-level internships. And if there's anybody out here from water agencies, that's something to consider. I think Three Valleys Water and Roland Water District have worked very closely with us. They've developed their own internship because they were struggling to find candidates.
Nice.
They were struggling to find people with 1 year experience, and they're seeing how these internships are working. And, you know, they reach out to us from time to time. It's open to everybody, but if you got more trade tech students, we'd love the last candidate pool from this internship program that they've developed. And it's really helping, you know, fill these vital roles.
Yeah, trade tech's doing great things. We got to keep this ball rolling. So somebody asked exactly that. Do you apply for the job operator? And the truth of the answer is every job is titled different. I'm sorry to report. And just as I want to emphasize what John said there, apply for trainee, apply for the apprenticeship, apply for Long Beach Utility Academy, apply for gardener. I'm not kidding. I know, you know, it not feel right, but these are just titles. And once your foot's in the door, man, you can go anywhere. So what title to look for? I would take a tour, ask the agency, reach out to them, their public ed or their HR. What role titles should I be applying for?
Yeah, there was I knew a couple people at the sanitation district. A couple of the supervisors and workers there, they actually started in the landfill first. And then once they got into the landfill, they did their 1 or 2 years, and then they merged into the electrical and instrumentation, and that's how they got in. And also for experience of a 1 year, I know that's on some of the job applications that I've seen that they also supplement a 1 year of experience from schooling as well that they have in there that I've seen.
That's right.
So that could also help you,
That's right.
equivalent to whatever you're applying for. So
Your degree or your online class, that's where that certificate comes in handy because HR is going to ask you, okay, prove it.
yeah,
Nice.
so you can supplement a 2-year program for 2 years of experience.
Well, let's have some fun. As I said, CWA loves to have fun. All our conferences are a big networking event where we love to get together. So we're going to do something different. And at this time, April, we can also bring up the presentation because in about 2 or 3 minutes, we'll hear from the agency. We'll hear their perspective. Oh, wow, it's ready to go. Okay, so quiz time. Get ready to answer in the chat. So you're going to answer quickly. Michael's got the quiz question. Go, Michael.
What does SCADA mean?
There you go. Answer in the chat really quickly. What does SCADA stand for?
No Google.
No Google. Yeah, because I'm going to close it here really quickly. Let's see. Are we seeing any messages in the chat? None yet. Remember, we're switching to the chat and put into the chat, what does SCADA stand for? And I forgot to tell you the prize. It is, you know what, folks? I think when we restarted, we're gonna restart this. We disabled the chat. So I have enabled the chat. I am an instrumentation tech. Let's try that again. So in the chat, and they're up for prize, we're gonna randomly pick from the correct answers a $50 Amazon gift card courtesy of CWA. All right, we're getting some answers. What is the question, Michael?
Well, the question is, what is SCADA? And
All right, hold on. Let's let them answer. Go for it. What does SCADA stand for? What is the acronym?
I like the way it rolled off of Mr. Kallo's tongue.
SCADA.
Okay, we got some answers. Keep going. Oh, this is going to be easy. Keep going. 60 seconds. Here we go. All right, and I'm going to do a timestamp. Last opportunity for the Amazon gift card. It's 12:02, and the correct answer, Professor Kallo.
Supervisory control and data acquisition.
There it is. I'll put a note. Drawing has ended. All right, thanks, folks. Like to have fun in my crazy ways. Janel, let's hear from the agencies.
Sweet. Thank you so much, Alec. And just wanted to say how awesome it is to have John and Michael here. And really in its celebration of Water Professionals Appreciation Week, which is right now. And we're celebrating all of the water workers that make sure that we can have this really essential service in our communities and our homes to make sure we get clean water and that we can dispose of our water in a safe and responsible manner and even reclaim some of those resources. So really, I'm happy to talk about careers in the water industry and provide really the agency insight. So I know that there there are a lot of potential water workers on this call, and I want to say that we do want you here. I don't want anyone to be intimidated by everything that we're talking about today. We're really trying to open up this conversation and kind of get the ball rolling for you, and we know that with enough information, with enough grit and determination, we know that you all will be able to find a space here in the water industry for you. And kind of to John's point, no matter what happens, if there's a fire, if there's an earthquake, I always like to say if there's a zombie apocalypse, we will always need water. Humans will need water, and it's such an essential service that is fulfilling because you're actually helping people out. So let's get started, and my passion is always for public service water careers. So again, my name is Janel. I'm with West Basin Municipal Water District, and my job as education coordinator is to provide the programming for K-12 students within West Basin service area. So that could include tours of the water recycling facility that we have in El Segundo. We offer tours to the public, and many agencies do as well. So I hope that through my work, I'm kind of, I get excited when I see students excited about water as well. So going on to the next slide, I represent West Basin Municipal Water District. We are a wholesale water agency that supplies drinking water to nearly 1 million people in 17 cities in Southern California. And we are considered a leader in recycled water and water use efficiency or water conservation and education. Again, tours for both K-12 students or even for general members of the public. So on the next slide, you can see our service area right over here. We serve about 1 million people, like I mentioned, and we're just one of many water districts out here in the state of California. There could be cities that help supply water to you, and really it's a collaboration with other water districts. It's the collaboration with public agencies, private agencies, and making sure that we can get that service out to the community. So again, if you're joining us, I think I saw some people from Oakland. I saw people from maybe San Diego joining us here today. So get familiar with your water district, whether it's the city of San Diego, you could have East Bay Municipal Utilities District up in Northern California. So get familiar with your agency, learn about how they get water to you, and learn about the services that they offer you as well. So moving on to the next slide, I would love to just showcase our water supply portfolio because it really represents the spirit of collaboration that we have here in the water district. I mean, we have Alec representing CWEA, we have Michael who's representing Veolia, a private entity, and we have John over here with LA Trade Tech College. So within the water industry, there are so many different types of water, and you'll hear us talk about buzzwords: advanced water, water conservation, imported water, recycled water, and really within all of these entities are multiple agencies, multiple organizations that are making this happen. So specifically for recycled water, we work closely with Veolia, who actually operates West Basin's Edward C. Little water recycling facility. We also get our source water from the city of Los Angeles. We provide imported water to our local communities for their drinking supplies. For that, we work with Metropolitan Water District and local retailers such as Golden State Water Company. So again, there's so many different levels, and that kind of just translates into so many different career paths that you could consider. So going on to the next slide, let's just jump into water pathways and career pathways in water. Really, I'm just hoping to kind of summarize all of the great conversations that went on in this chat today. I know there are a lot of students that are in varying levels of education right now. Maybe you're just starting out, maybe you're just curious, or maybe you have that cert and you don't know what to do next. So hopefully I'll capture a lot of these great points. And of course, this is just the start of a conversation. So of course, don't feel afraid to reach out to any of us for any follow-up questions that you might have. So on the next slide, we talked a lot about the huge amount of jobs in the water industry that are open. We call that the silver tsunami, a play on words here in the water industry.
It's happening.
It is, and it's tough. And as you can see, we have a good majority, or a good portion, I'll say, of our skilled water workers that are going to be eligible to retire in a few years. And not only are they just leaving these positions opening, they're taking with them decades of experience. So that's kind of that focus on skills that water agencies are having for their candidates. So not only do we want people to consider this career path, but we want you to get trained. We want you to have the skills to be able to do this job because, again, this is a very important public service. So within the water industry, there are different types of employers that you could consider. So of course, I'm coming from the special district side, which is what West Basin is, but we also have different cities or municipalities. We could have state agencies, we could have utilities. So again, there's so many different levels, and unfortunately, all of the hiring processes are a little bit different. So take some time to explore. And it's like John said, you're going to have to do something new if you want something new. Okay, so moving on to the nitty gritty. To the next slide, we kind of talked about different types of water, and kind of a new type of water that we're talking about is advanced water. So again, within all of these different types of water, there could be different certifications that are available to you. So advanced treated is a new certification. There are differences in distribution. There's differences in treatment, both for drinking water or for recycled water or wastewater as well. So again, just make sure you kind of dabble in a little bit of both. Like I said, Veolia Academy has some different ways that you could look online and get familiar with all of these different ones.
Sorry about that, folks. This is downtown LA.
Beautiful sounds of downtown LA.
Yeah. It happened.
Yeah. Well, going back into this, there are different certifications that you could get. So again, just take some time to explore it. Get familiar with your water district and see the services that they offer. And maybe if you don't like smells so much at a wastewater plant, maybe you could work at a drinking water plant instead. So again, there's so many different levels. Moving on to the next slide, once you finalize maybe where you want to go to in water, there are so many professional organizations that offer valuable training and resources for certification. CWEA, our host, as well as the American Water Works Association, has so many different certifications. And I think this is a really important slide because I know students have so many questions on where to even start. So look on these websites, look at the training that they have, and they often have someone that's in charge of education, or they have someone that helps with certification. So ask them your questions, and really everyone in the water industry is here to help you. We're not trying to gatekeep anything. We really want to make this a collaboration between other industries, our future workers, and educators alike. So moving on to the next slide. This is just a few resources to get you to apply to government jobs. Like John said, there are so many different benefits to careers in the public industry. There's usually that pension. You get great medical benefits as well. There's that education stipend that is typically offered. And again, you're offering a public service. So there are very few jobs that are secure and fulfilling as well, because you get to see that you're supporting your local community. So several websites are linked on this slide as well. So of course you want to maybe start off with looking into internships and apprenticeship programs. We talked about the Department of Water Resources has a really great apprenticeship program. LA Department of Water and Power, Metropolitan Water District, even West Basin has our own internship program as well. So wherever you are in California, find your local district and try to get an internship with them in order to get those skills, get that experience, so that when you are applying for your specific career pathway, you have kind of those core competencies. So a couple of hints or of tips that I like to give students when they're applying to jobs. Look at those job postings. Read them very clearly. Like John said, you don't want to get caught off because of a technicality, but review those job postings. It has really good stuff specifically for like public agencies. They typically have to post a salary schedule. So if that's something that's important to you, take a look at those different agencies. Look at those core competencies and skills that they want you to have, because we don't just want people, we want the most skilled candidates for these positions. And I want to say that we do have sometimes a prolonged hiring process, but it's because we are paid for by the tax funds or ratepayer funds. So we have that level of accountability, but it's not impossible. So again, I don't want anyone to be intimidated by it, because it is definitely worth it. Okay, lovely. So next one, when we are talking about careers in the water industry, I think there's this really great report that the Water Energy Education Alliance and the Centers of Excellence recently released this year, and it talks about this. As we all can see, there's this mismatch between folks that are trying to hire within the water industry and people that want to get there. So I think this really lays out kind of where those discrepancies lie, and the 8 most mission critical roles that are needed right now. So again, we have calibration, we have operators, of course, we have machinists, and I want you all to kind of think outside of just flowing water, because there are so many different career pathways in here, and of course, different certifications that you have. And of course, all of these jobs are really critical and are supported by our local community colleges. Los Angeles Trade Tech College, Santiago Canyon College, all of these entities or educational organizations are trying to make sure that we are making sure that these next candidates have the skills that they need. One of the cool things that I'll point out is that these are the 8 mission critical jobs in the water industry, and they typically do require a little lower education requirements and have pretty generous pay. So again, this is
College degree in some cases, maybe associates, but
exactly, or maybe just a couple classes that you need to take, which is awesome. And we can't really talk about trying to inspire the next generation of water workers without talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion. So moving on to my next to last slide, when we talk about this really up and coming issue within the water industry, I mean, we are aware that there is not only a racial gap in the water industry, but the biggest gap of all is women in water specifically. So again, it's not that we are trying to gatekeep information, we're trying to get diversity of ideas and different ways to solve problems. So this is an issue that I think everyone in the water industry is thinking about, and it does require a lot more collaboration, because I think it's great that we have John here. Again, I'll keep calling to you on my left, but LA Trade Tech has a really diverse set of students, right? And that also not only reflects the communities that we serve, but it also shows how people can leverage their different backgrounds to solve these unique problems, and we're providing these critical services. So again, it's a issue. It really leans into the need of collaboration across the industry and shifting the paradigm. And I'll just call out the Water Energy Education Alliance for really putting forth really great initiatives to make sure we include students of all backgrounds in the water industry. And one of my favorites is the Association of Women in Water and Energy, Energy and the Environment. So I think there are a lot of different efforts to make this more inclusive for everyone and really shift the paradigm.
yeah, everything's an acronym. We just had a Path to Power session just like this yesterday. Very inspiring.
Yes. So now on to my last slide, and this is what West Basin is trying to do. You hear that there are so many, I guess, disconnects within the water industry, but we're trying to really build awareness, make sure that future water workers are getting the skills. We're trying to see how we can partner and collaborate with other agencies. And again, this is not just a West Basin issue. This is not a trade tech issue. This is an issue for the entire state of California. So again, it looks into all of us, the folks that are on this call, to really try to bridge these gaps and get the next generation of water workers. So with that, again, really hope that you all are inspired to pursue a fulfilling career in water. And I hope that you're not intimidated by this, because we all want you to work in water.
Yeah. And this is going to sound a little trite or not true, but you can email any of us and we will try to help you. I call it the 6 degrees of separation. Water is a very small industry. We think there's about 60,000 people. But if you email Janel for any of these resources, hey, I want a speaker. It's got to be in the South Bay, called their
Service area.
Their service area.
Yeah.
There you go. Janel's going to help you out, you know. And if you email John or if you email me, we're going to help you out. Everyone in water is helpful. Now we get to turn the tables. John or Michael, what questions do you have for the?
I'll let you go first.
Okay.
Here we
So
go.
with kind of based off the question that you asked me earlier, so how did you hear about water, and how did you get into this?
Yeah, no, that's a really great question, and I'll try to keep it concise instead of telling my entire life story. But really, I was post-grad. I have a degree in environmental studies from UC Santa Barbara, and what I really wanted was to recreate the experiences that I had in school that inspired me to protect the environment, to live a sustainable lifestyle. So just, post-grad experience, shopping around for different jobs. And there was a position at West Basin that opened up in their education department. So tried it out, got it, and I absolutely loved it. And the cool thing about working for West Basin is that it's in the community that I grew up in. So
okay, wow.
now, yeah, exactly. I think I remember going on a tour of our facility when I was in
So
the
many
third
people,
grade. Exactly. And
those
it's the transformative experience. And it's once you get into water, your mind is kind of blown because it's like you're pulling back the curtain of something that touches absolutely everyone. And I love that. And I love seeing that spark in students' eyes when they get excited to learn about water or when they smell something stinky at the plant and they just get excited. So I tried it out, just like we talked about trying out different pathways, and I really loved it. And what I hope to do is to just inspire more students to protect the environment and be water stewards, to be stewards of the environment.
Less water here in Southern California, water quantity and quality, as we call it, are under pressure. So we have to go in the right direction.
Yeah, well, I think you kind of answered my question. I was going to ask you, what do you like about working in the water industry that you can share with those that are listening today?
One thing that I'll emphasize, and I, of course, I'm kind of on the other side of water. I'm not out in the trenches. I'm not working on pipes, although I would love to learn. But one thing that I love about working in water specifically is just, I guess, I love learning about the history of water. Alec, you talked about how we are now going into cyclical droughts in the state of California, or we need to be more wise with our water. But there's a whole story behind water. There's history. And to get water to people's homes through the State Water Project to the Colorado River Aqueduct, there's history behind it. It took a lot of ingenuity. I think it's taken for granted. So I really like that aspect of knowing how much goes into just turning your faucet on. And I think it's really inspiring and exciting. I'm a water nerd, as you can tell.
I love it, water nerds. They even have a logo for that.
do.
So here's how small the water industry is. You'll learn this. And my advice is never speak ill of anybody because they're going to be your boss. They're going to be your coworker, like in the truck with you. So it is that small. But one student I met went on a tour in high school of LA County Sanitation and then remembers that she met her boss at that tour. And like 3 or 4 years later, well, even more than that, like 5 or 6 after she graduated, that was her boss for the internship. So that's how small the water is.
Yeah.
People just
Go on tours.
and go
Moral
on
of the
tours.
story.
Go on tours and take people with you. So let's get to questions. Oh, I did want to make a point or really push the panel here. Are we saying that we want women and encourage women to consider frontline trades positions, like be a wastewater operator? Is that what we're saying?
110%.
Yes. More women in the trades, electrical, mechanical, operations. I'd like to see more. I start to see slowly. I also teach electrical and have 40 students per class. Usually the number is about 3 to 4 women in my class, but I'd like to see more.
And we have one of your former students that's
That's
currently
right. That's
working
right.
at our plant
In
as
the
well,
electrical department, she's working with you
she's
guys.
awesome.
Yeah. And you get to hear from Melissa in Sacramento in December when we do our virtual meetup. She's an operator at the regional sand plant, a massive treatment plant up in Sacramento. And, these are great paying jobs, good benefits, family sustaining wages. And like I said, the profession and all the agencies put an emphasis on safety. And the smell goes away. I promise you. It happens. It's just part of life, right? That the stuff's going to get on you. But
Get used to it.
You get used to it, and it comes with the territory. There are downsides to everything. But
And women are bringing value to the water industry also.
Exactly. You know, in the Women in Water panel yesterday, they just focused on there is a little bit more environmental awareness or, you know, care for Mother Earth thing. So we want to see more women in and moving up.
It's a different viewpoint. And I think what a good point at that webinar yesterday was talking about how women are people from diverse backgrounds, not just women, but we bring diversity in thought. We bring different ways to solve a problem. And I think that's where that value lies.
You never know how to get to a solution. And I should emphasize, we're still 80% male. So 2023, we have a lot of work to do in water. That's why we want to encourage people, young women, any age or career stage, you can move into the water industry. So let's get to questions. So really open to anybody. Would you recommend getting letters of recommendation to bring to your interview? This is from Travis Worth.
If they ask for it, sure. Some positions do require a letter of recommendation, and I would definitely ask for it.
Yeah, and this is not, again, just like we've said it so many times, like applying for a private company. They want you to use their application. And actually, the agencies are getting better. They have online, even textable. I think it's Inland Empire or one of the inland agencies that's doing textable HR recruitment. Yeah, things are changing. Cool. Yeah. But they want you to use their forms. Again, it's just government. So if they say bring a letter of recommendation, you get it. Like our scholarship program for CWA requires a letter of recommendation. So next one, y'all just asking, how do you get into water distribution? Great one.
Well, you go to these websites that have the openings for water positions, and usually the agency, whatever the name of the organization is, you can look them up and see what they do. Some are wastewater facilities, some are treatment plants, some are water utility companies that distribute water. So you'd have to see what they do. And then usually when you look for job titles, it might be water distribution worker one. Mm-hmm. So these are the job titles you're going to want to search for. Water utility, water distribution, water operator. If it's treatment, it'll say water treatment. If it's wastewater, it typically says wastewater treatment operator. So just by the job title itself is my recommendation. Look for the organization and look for the job title.
Yeah, exactly. And we should emphasize there are 30,000, I think more than that, distribution certificate holders, the largest class. So there are a lot of distribution operators. Obviously, it's one of the most important. They're all important. But we're talking about the water that's going into people's homes. So water distribution is one pathway that has a lot of openings. And at cities, places you wouldn't imagine, City of Torrance, City of Gardena. No, actually, I think that's Golden State Water. So maybe we should talk about all these. What is the difference between public and private?
That's a really good question. So I think we all, of course, operate in the same space, which is the water industry. But I'd say the main difference is that public agencies are funded, again, through ratepayer or taxpayer funds. And we are usually voted into existence by the people, or it is an essential governmental service. So the main difference is that I guess we really work closely with private organizations to get the job done also. It's usually a public organization like West Basin, Department of Water Resources, Metropolitan Water District that own the infrastructure, but we also rely on great folks in private entities like Veolia, other entities that help us actually operate or maintain, help us engineer these things. So two really great different career pathways, two different but both essential to the water industry.
In the engineering field, they have private consultants and a lot of private consultants. So the agencies, when they need to build a really big project like water reuse or Metropolitan's new advanced pure water, which you can take a tour of in Carson, they are going to hire private consulting firms, Brown & Caldwell, Black & Veatch, and people will go as engineers into the private sector, then back to the public agency, back and forth. So you're going to have a wonderful pathway winding down this water industry. Here's a great one. I'm stumped. Andrea would like to know, where should I be looking to get into water data?
What kind of water data?
kind of water data, Andrea. I think she's thinking like analytics or maybe regulations, sort of the big picture analysis.
So most water agencies have full transparency on their website for all their departments, and like their water quality report comes out and they'll tell you what's in their water. And if you search there, they'll let you know what they found. You can also go to each website, a city, a private water company, or a district, and you can find out what they do, where they get their water from, and collect some data there. You can also go to, I think the main one would be the Water Resource Control Board. You can find all kinds of data through the EPA and through the state. Contaminants, reservoir levels through as well.
Big data is big.
Specific career pathways could be like environmental compliance, so making sure that we're meeting all of our permitting for water treatment. It could be a water resources analyst in case you're interested in learning about water budgets and how much water is allocated to different localities within the state of California. Or it could even be hydrogeology, so looking into groundwater and seeing how much water is stored underground. So many different types of water data out there. So hopefully that gives you a few little nuggets to explore further.
Another big one, it's like the match game here, because I just thought of GIS. And GIS in our industry is huge. The big databases that just keep track, believe it or not, the location of something. But that is like critical information that is feeding into all of our automated systems.
And GIS, for the people that don't know,
there you
because
go.
we always have to translate all of the different acronyms
too.
in the water industry, geographic information systems. So take a look. I think there's some certifications I can get for GIS, and it's essential for mapping out your pipelines. It's a great software to get familiar with.
The guys in the truck or out in the plant even, because GIS can pinpoint down to a couple inches, but out in the trucks in the fields, they can see everything. And one of the next technologies to see like 3D. So you can see through the ground, what's all the pipes that are under there. See in the walls so the backhoes don't hit anything. Let's keep going. I'm studying environmental health and I want to work in wastewater. Should I pursue the D2, T2, or the lab analyst certification? This is from Frederico.
Both. I had a student at Trade Tech. Her background, her bachelor's degree was environmental science, and she took the program at LA Trade Tech, the water program. Ended up getting a job with the EPA writing grants. At her interview, it was mainly water regulations questions, and we covered most, if not all, community colleges that offer water program. There's a section on state and EPA water regulations, constituents, contaminants, things that are allowed, things that are not allowed in the water. So definitely have a D2, T2 regardless. It may not be required, but it just shows that you're interested in this field. And definitely get the CWA environmental laboratory. Definitely you want to get that one. And I think AWWA also has a laboratory technician certification. You want to get that as well. That'd be my recommendation.
Gotta catch them all.
It's got to catch them all. And, the lab experience will help you on the wastewater operators because there's tons of lab questions. So this is it. We're almost at time. Michael, I want to ask you, Javier has a really straightforward one. Maybe you'll know this. Is it easier to get into wastewater or is it easier to get into water distribution?
Well, those are a little bit different. Wastewater, you're doing a treatment. You're going from what gets flushed down the toilet all the way to your faucet, or what could be your faucet with advanced water treatments nowadays. But I'm not too sure for the water distribution because I've never done that job. That's more of operators type deal.
Field.
But getting into wastewater, like I said, internships, just getting in and being in the field and getting that experience, do what's more available or what is available to you in your schedule and with what you have going on at home or school or work, of what you can do to get to where you want to go. So that'd be my recommendation. Just figure out your schedule, figure out what's available, and whatever's easiest for you, go for it. And
Yeah.
To John's point, if you have both your D2 and T2 and all of these different certs, and you have an opportunity to go into both, you could zigzag, and really you're maximizing your opportunities for yourself.
As far as the certifications, or
Yeah. What do you think? Wastewater easier to get into water distribution?
I heard there were more wastewater jobs than water treatment distribution.
Interesting.
That's one thing I heard. Don't know if that's the case, but I definitely recommend going back to what you mentioned. Just get your foot in the door, you know.
Can.
And I recommend at any college you attend to do both programs: water treatment, distribution, and wastewater. It helps you understand the process. It helps you for career opportunities, you know, understanding the language of what you're working on. And a lot of the topics you're learning in school when you go for your certifications, you might be going for a CWEA laboratory technician, but they're going to pull maybe 10, 15 questions about valves, pumps, pH, and whatnot.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
The
and
civil
if you want to
service
become an
exam.
electrical instrumentation tech, they're going to ask you about pH, how to calculate water flow going through a pipe, and you might get stumped on it. You're like, what? I've never seen this before. You know, I'm an electrician. Why do I have to know this? So just everybody, those certifications, no matter what your field is, what you want to do, it wouldn't hurt if it's on your resume.
Yeah.
Showing,
Make those agencies compete for you. Like,
Yeah.
Like you're both
you'll
saying.
definitely
Apply
distinguish yourself
Yeah.
with that. And
Any closing thoughts? Thanks for everybody for staying on, and we so enjoyed this chat. One last thought from John.
Well, one last thing, you know, CWEA is putting this webinar on. I just wanted to say, make sure you go to their website. They also have student memberships for about $20.
$20.
And if you're professional, sign up for it. And some of the benefits of becoming a student membership is you're going to be informed about additional seminars, training. A lot of times at these seminars, they're going to have youth professional clinics, and where they mentor and do mock interviews, and you're going to get mentoring as well. Great networking opportunities. Make sure you follow your local water agency. Find out where you get your water from. Nowadays, they have social media. They have an Instagram, Facebook. Make sure you follow them. They definitely post up job openings all the time. They post up events that they have, Earth Day, beach cleanup. See if you can volunteer at these facilities as well.
How about you, Janelle? What's coming up for West Basin?
Well, I will say that this Saturday is our annual Water Harvest Festival. So if you're out here in Southern California, come out to our water facility in the city of El Segundo. Free food, free tours of our facility if you want to learn about a recycled water treatment plant. And just come in and learn about water. And like we all mentioned, we're all here to help you get your career in water. So that could be a great way to start talking to not only West Basin, but we'll also have guests from the Water Replenishment District, Metropolitan Water District. So really great way to just start getting your foot in the door, meeting these people and asking great questions.
Awesome. See you in which city?
El Segundo.
Beautiful El Segundo, the second. Thank you so much for being here. I think
you
we've
for
been
having
sitting
us.
here for
having
like
us.
an hour and a half. We got more questions, so we got to have you back. But as you can see, hopefully spread the word. We don't bite. We're friendly. We're really trying to do a better job of outreach. So I encouraged all the seasoned professionals to get out there, go to the tours, go to the events. Your professional association, there's CWA that can get you connected. There's electricians associations. There's something for the hydrogeologists have the Hydrogeologists Association. And that association allows you to go as far as you want to go. Connections, networking, learning. So thank you so much for joining us. Let's go enjoy the rest of our day. Take care, everybody.